They call your name. You grab your hot coffee. Free Wi-Fi. Cozy vibes. A perfect spot to read, work, or catch up with friends. It's not quite home, not quite work, but something in between. A third place where you feel like you belong. When you travel abroad, this place might even feel like a little piece of home. You're at Starbucks. But here is the question. Is that experience really worth paying $7 for a cup of coffee? With 40,200 stores across 80 plus countries, Starbucks generates $35 billion in annual revenue. It employs 381,000 people and pours more than 4 billion cups of coffee every year. Globally, it welcomes over 100 million customers every single week. Starbucks sources, roasts, packages, and ships its own beans. New baristas get 24 hours of training, turning them into espresso experts. There's even an R&D lab working on coffee extracts for new drinks and products, like ice cream. But, like many global giants, Starbucks started small, and if it weren't for one man, it would have stayed a local Seattle coffee shop. 1971, Seattle. 3 friends, Gordon Walker, a writer, Jerry Baldwin, an English teacher, and Zeg Siege, a history teacher, launch Starbucks. They are inspired by Alfred Peet, the founder of Peet's Coffee in California, who opened their eyes to the idea of fresh roasted high-quality beans. Frustrated by Seattle's lack of great coffee, they start a retail store, selling whole beans, equipment, and accessories. Cafe culture didn't exist yet. They weren't selling drinks, just beans. So, how did Starbucks become a global brand? They didn't take it there. Howard Schultz did. Howard Schultz grew up in a Brooklyn housing project. Poor, overlooked, forgotten. Imagine being 7 years old. Your dad breaks his ankle on the job. No income. No workers' comp. No health insurance. Your mom is 7 months pregnant and can't work. That experience shaped Howard. He swore he'd build something better for himself and others. He eventually worked his way up to become vice president and general manager at Hammarplast, a Swedish kitchenware company. Despite his success, Howard realized that as long as he remained an employee, his financial growth would be limited by a capped salary. He yearned for ownership, understanding that true financial and personal fulfillment would come from building and having a stake in a business. That's when he noticed Starbucks was buying a lot of drip coffee machines. He visited, fell in love. They weren't just selling coffee, they were educating customers, creating a community. He saw the future, but Starbucks wasn't hiring. Determined to be part of this vision and to have an ownership stake, he spent a year convincing Jerry Baldwin to bring him on. Finally, in 1982, Howard became director of marketing and retail operations for Starbucks, securing a small percentage of ownership as part of his compensation. Then came a life-changing work trip to Milan. There, he saw Italian espresso bars, full of music, conversations, energy. Cafes weren't just about coffee, they were about connection. He returned to America with a bold idea: turn Starbucks into a cafe. But the founders said no. It took a year of convincing, but eventually the founders let him test the cafe idea. 1 store, 1 espresso bar. Sales doubled from $1,000 to $2,000 per day. Overnight, the concept worked, but the founders still said no to scaling it. Why? Because their vision was to sell premium coffee beans to coffee purists, not to run cafes. So Howard made a bold move. He left and opened his own Italian-inspired coffee shop, Il Giornale. Then, out of the blue, Starbucks was put for sale. The founders realized their vision had run its course, and they were ready to move on. Howard knew this was his shot, but raising $3.8 million to buy the company, that was another battle. He was rejected by banks, angel investors, even a major Italian espresso machine company. Then, luck showed up. His wife had once met a woman in the park. The woman's husband, Ron, was an obstetrician and also an angel investor. Ron didn't want spreadsheets. He wanted the story. He wanted belief, vision, and character. And Howard had all three. As the saying goes, when you start on the way appears. Ron backed him. Others followed. And in 1987, Howard Schultz bought Starbucks and built a global empire from one bold idea and a whole lot of persistence. The early years? Brutal. In 1987, Starbucks lost $330,000. In 1988, it lost $764,000. In 1989, losses hit $1.2 million. It did not turn a profit until 1990. Today, Starbucks is worth $109 billion. Howard Schultz's advice? Whatever your plan is, it will take longer and cost more than you expect. But now that Starbucks is a giant, not all is sunshine and lattes. It has an entire Wikipedia page just for controversies, low pay for employees, anti-union efforts, a CEO commuting 1,000 miles by private jet. Critics say that the company has gone from mission-driven to profit-obsessed. So is Starbucks worth the money? Probably not. Let's break it down. If you're spending $7 a day, 5 days a week, that's $35 per week. Multiply that across a typical work year of 260 days, and you're spending $1,820 per year on coffee. Drink 2 cups a day, that's $3,640 per year. Now, let's say instead of buying Starbucks, you invest $1,820 annually into a low-cost index fund, earning 8% returns. After 10 years, that becomes about $26,398. After 30 years, you'd have roughly $204,684. But what if you gave up those 2 daily cups and invested $3,640 per year instead? After 10 years, you would have $52,796. After 30 years, $409,368. Now, compare that to making coffee at home. A 1-pound bag of beans costs between $8 and $20 and makes about 40 cups. That's just 26 cents per cup. At 1 cup a day, 5 days a week for 260 workdays, you're spending just $67.60 a year. Huge difference. If you're at home, brew your own coffee. If you're out, go for something simple. Skip the $7 latte. So, next time you walk into a Starbucks, ask yourself, are you paying for coffee? Or for the feeling of comfort, convenience, and brand identity? And if you're serious about building real wealth, watch this next.